What if the very thing you're running from, uncertainty, is the key to your strength? What if the unknown isn't a threat, but an invitation to discover who you truly are? Strength does not come from controlling the world around you. It comes from learning to face it without fear. The mind craves certainty because it fears the unknown. It seeks patterns, explanations, and guarantees. But life is not designed to be predictable. It unfolds with a rhythm beyond your grasp, and no amount of planning or strategizing can change that fundamental truth. The more you try to control the outcome, the more you find yourself enslaved to the very chaos you seek to avoid. True strength arises not from mastering life's circumstances, but from mastering your response to them. You cannot control the storms of life, but you can decide how you will stand in the midst of them. Most people spend their lives building walls against uncertainty, trying to shut out the discomfort of not knowing. They cling to illusions of safety, convinced that if they just work harder, prepare more, or anticipate every possible outcome, they can protect themselves from life's volatility. But this effort is futile. The more you try to impose control, the more you highlight your own weakness. You are not strong because you prevent chaos. You are strong because you stand in the middle of it without flinching. Fear of the unknown is a natural impulse, but it is not a mandate. It's a signal, not a sentence. When you encounter uncertainty, the temptation is to recoil, to scramble for answers, or to seek comfort in routine. But strength is built when you resist that impulse and remain steady in the face of discomfort. You do not need to have all the answers to move forward. You do not need to know the outcome to take the next step. Courage is not found in knowing, it's found in acting despite not knowing. Uncertainty strips away the illusion of control, and in doing so, it reveals the truth. The truth is that you were never meant to control everything. Life is not a problem to be solved, it is a reality to be lived. Strength comes when you stop trying to bend life to your will and instead learn to stand tall in the face of whatever it brings. The unpredictable nature of life is not your enemy, it is your training ground. Every moment of uncertainty is an opportunity to strengthen your resolve, to refine your character, and to sharpen your focus. People believe that strength is found in certainty, in knowing what's coming next and how to handle it. But real strength comes from releasing the need to know. Strength is found in the quiet confidence that no matter what happens, you will rise to meet it. When you detach from the need to control the outcome, you liberate yourself from the weight of fear. You stop bracing for impact and start moving with purpose. You become less concerned with what happens next and more focused on how you will respond. You are not weak because you face uncertainty. You are weak when you let uncertainty dictate your actions. Strength is the ability to stand calmly in the midst of chaos without needing to fix or predict it. It is the quiet resolve that whispers, "I am enough," no matter what happens next. When you accept that uncertainty is inevitable, you stop wasting energy fighting it. You learn to work with it instead of against it. You become adaptable, resilient, and unshaken. Most people exhaust themselves trying to arrange life in a way that minimizes uncertainty. They fill their days with distractions and plans, attempting to create a sense of order. But order is fragile. One unexpected event can undo years of preparation. Strength comes when you stop needing life to be predictable. It comes when you can lose everything and still stand tall, because your foundation is not built on circumstances, it's built on character. Control is an illusion. The tighter you grip life, the more it slips through your fingers. The effort to control life's outcomes only leads to frustration and exhaustion. When you release that grip, you discover freedom. Strength comes from standing in the unknown without flinching. Not because you are fearless, but because you know you are capable of surviving whatever comes next. The ability to endure uncertainty without losing yourself is the essence of strength. You may face moments when the path ahead is unclear. The temptation to stop, to retreat, or to wait for more information will be strong. But strength is not waiting for certainty. It is moving forward despite the lack of it. Strength is trusting that even if the outcome is not what you expect, you will adapt, you will grow, you will overcome. Uncertainty is not a reason to hesitate. It is a reason to rise. Fear will tell you that you are not ready. It will whisper that you need more answers, more preparation, more certainty before you act. But strength is built when you push past those whispers, when you stop asking, "What if?" and start asking, "What now?" You reclaim your power. Strength is not found in controlling the narrative. It is found in embracing the unknown with open hands and a steady heart. Life will test you. It will present moments where you feel lost, overwhelmed, and uncertain. But strength is not the absence of those feelings. It is the decision to keep going despite them. When the path is dark, you become your own light. When the ground beneath you shakes, you stand firm. Not because you know the outcome, but because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes next. Strength is built in the space between knowing and not knowing, in the willingness to face the unknown without retreating. People confuse control with strength, but they are not the same. Control is fragile. It shatters the moment life deviates from the plan. Strength is durable. It adapts when the plan fails. Strength is not the absence of uncertainty. It is the presence of resolve in the face of it. You do not need to know the outcome to stand confidently in the present, more focused and more capable. Strength is not born from security. It is born from the willingness to stand unprotected and unafraid. Life will always be uncertain, but you don't have to be. You are not defined by what happens to you. You are defined by how you respond. Strength is the quiet choice to meet life as it comes, not as you wish it would be. Every time you face uncertainty, you have a choice: resist it or embrace it. Resistance weakens you because it places your power in the hands of circumstances. Embracing the unknown strengthens you because it shifts your focus from outcomes to action. Strength is not built when life goes according to plan. It is built when the plan falls apart, and you keep moving forward anyway. You do not need to control the outcome to succeed. You need to trust yourself to handle whatever outcome arrives. Let go of the illusion of control, and you will find strength. The unknown is not your enemy. It is your ally. It sharpens your resolve, tests your faith, and strengthens your spirit. Strength comes not from eliminating uncertainty, but from learning to stand tall in the face of it. Life will always be uncertain, but you don't have to be. Your strength lies not in controlling the outcome, but in controlling your response. When you stop fearing the unknown, you unlock a power that no circumstance can take from you. Peace is not found in the absence of difficulty. It is found in the acceptance of it. Life is not something you can mold to your liking. It is not a problem to be solved or an obstacle to be overcome. It is a reality to be faced. Most people believe that peace comes from fixing everything, from resolving every uncertainty and smoothing out every rough edge. But that is an illusion. True peace does not come from controlling life. It comes from accepting it exactly as it is. Resistance is the source of most suffering. When you resist what life presents, you create friction between reality and your expectations. That friction breeds frustration, fear, and anxiety. You cannot control the events of life, but you can control how you respond to them. And the most powerful response is acceptance. Acceptance does not mean weakness or passivity. It means understanding that life will unfold with or without your approval. It means releasing the need to control and allowing life to be what it is. You waste so much energy fighting against what you cannot change. You resist pain, uncertainty and disappointment, thinking that if you resist hard enough, you can make them disappear. But life does not work that way. Pain comes, uncertainty rises, and things fall apart. Resistance only multiplies your suffering. When you accept life's difficulties instead of fighting them, you dissolve that extra layer of pain. You cannot change the nature of life, but you can change how you carry it. Most people confuse acceptance with resignation. They believe that accepting something means giving up or settling for less. But acceptance is not surrender, it is mastery. To accept life as it is requires strength, because it means letting go of the illusion of control. When you accept what you cannot change, you reclaim the energy you wasted trying to force life into submission. That energy can then be used to respond with clarity, wisdom, and grace. You cannot control the outcome, but you can control your approach. Resistance keeps you trapped in a cycle of frustration, constantly measuring reality against your expectations. When reality falls short, you suffer. Acceptance releases you from that cycle. It allows you to meet life on its own terms, not with resentment, but with understanding. The storms will still come, but they will no longer shake you, because you have stopped demanding that life conform to your will. The need for control is rooted in fear. You resist life because you fear the unknown. You fear disappointment, failure, and loss. But the truth is that none of those things can destroy you unless you give them that power. Resistance gives them power. When you resist pain, you make it sharper. When you resist loss, you make it more devastating. But when you accept that life includes both joy and suffering, you remove the sting. The pain remains, but it no longer defines you. There is freedom in letting go. The tighter you cling to the way you think life should be, the more you suffer when it doesn't match your expectations. Acceptance allows you to release that grip. It allows you to stop clinging to outcomes and instead focus on the present moment. Life is not happening to you, it is simply happening. When you stop resisting, you stop suffering. You realize that peace is not found in getting what you want. It's found in being okay with what is. People seek peace through control. They believe that if they can just organize life perfectly, if they can anticipate every challenge, avoid every mistake, and secure every outcome, they will finally find peace. But peace is not the reward for a perfect life. Peace is the result of accepting life's imperfections. The more you try to control life, the more restless you become. The more you let go, the more peace you experience. Acceptance means looking at life as it is, not as you wish it would be. It means standing face to face with uncertainty and not flinching. It means allowing both joy and sorrow to coexist without trying to force one away or hold on to the other. Life will always contain both light and dark, success and failure, happiness and sadness. When you resist one side, you lose both. But when you accept both, you find balance. It is easy to accept joy. It requires no effort, but accepting pain requires strength. It requires the understanding that life is not meant to be one-sided. You cannot have light without shadow. You cannot have growth without discomfort. Acceptance means opening your hands and allowing both to pass through you without trying to grasp or push away. You stop needing life to be perfect, and in doing so, you find peace. Most people are prisoners of their own expectations. They expect life to be fair, for things to go according to plan, for happiness to outweigh sadness. And when life does not meet those expectations, they suffer. But life was never meant to meet your expectations, it was meant to challenge them. Acceptance means releasing those expectations and allowing life to unfold on its own terms. It means understanding that life owes you nothing, and that's where freedom begins. The moment you stop resisting life, you step into your power. You become calm, not because life is easy, but because you have stopped needing it to be easy. You face uncertainty without fear, because you are no longer attached to the outcome. You stop seeing challenges as threats and start seeing them as opportunities to grow. You learn to move with life instead of against it. That is where peace lives, in the ability to stand calmly in the middle of chaos without needing to fix it. Control is an illusion. Life cannot be controlled, only experienced. When you accept that truth, you stop feeling threatened by the unknown. You stop bracing for disaster and start living with purpose. Resistance drains your energy. Acceptance restores it. It allows you to meet life with an open heart instead of a closed fist. You stop trying to mold life into your idea of perfection and start appreciating it for what it is. You cannot control the rain, but you can choose whether to curse it or dance in it. You cannot prevent loss, but you can decide whether to close your heart or let it expand. Life will not always be kind, but it will always be real. Acceptance allows you to meet that reality without bitterness. It allows you to say, "This is life, and I am strong enough to live it." When you resist life, you shrink. Your world becomes smaller because you are constantly protecting yourself from discomfort. But when you accept life, you expand. You become open to possibility, to growth, to change. You become fearless, not because you have eliminated uncertainty, but because you have embraced it. You understand that peace is not the absence of difficulty. It is the quiet confidence that you will endure it. You do not need to have all the answers to be at peace. You only need to release the need to know. Peace comes from understanding that life is unpredictable, but you are capable. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens, you have the strength to face it. Resistance weakens you, because it places your strength in the hands of circumstances. Acceptance strengthens you because it places your strength in your own hands. Life will continue to unfold with or without your approval. Things will fall apart. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. But peace does not come from preventing those things. It comes from standing tall when they happen. Acceptance is not weakness. It is the deepest kind of strength. It is the quiet resolve to meet life as it comes, knowing that nothing can shake you unless you allow it to. Stop fighting life. Stop demanding that it be different. Let it be what it is. And let yourself be what you are. You are not fragile. You are capable. You do not need perfect circumstances to find peace. You need only the courage to stop resisting and the strength to accept what comes. When you let go of control, you gain freedom. When you release resistance, you find peace. Uncertainty is not your enemy, it is the ground upon which you grow. Most people fear uncertainty because it represents the unknown, the uncontrollable. They see it as a threat to their stability and security. But uncertainty is not a threat. It is an invitation. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens when you are stretched, when you are pushed beyond what you know, and when you are forced to confront the unknown. Without uncertainty, there is no change. Without change, there is no progress. You cannot grow while clinging to certainty. Certainty gives you comfort, but it also keeps you stagnant. When you know exactly what to expect, you stop adapting. You stop reaching beyond your limits. Growth requires discomfort because discomfort forces you to adapt. The mind wants certainty, but the soul thrives in uncertainty. The tension between the two is where transformation occurs. People often confuse stability with strength. They believe that a life without disruption is a life well lived. But stability breeds complacency. It lulls you into a false sense of security. True strength is not the ability to hold on to certainty. It is the ability to stand firmly when everything around you is uncertain. Growth comes from walking into the unknown with courage, not from sheltering yourself from it. When you resist uncertainty, you resist growth. You try to control every outcome, predict every variable, and protect yourself from every potential loss. But life does not work that way. The more you cling to control, the more life will slip through your fingers. Growth comes when you release the need to know and trust that you will figure it out as you go. You do not need to know the whole path. You only need the courage to take the next step. The human mind craves predictability. It seeks patterns and outcomes it can anticipate, but life is not predictable. It is chaotic and ever-changing. If you depend on certainty to feel secure, you will always be anxious because life will never give you full control. The path to peace lies in surrendering the need for certainty and learning to thrive in the unknown. Growth happens when you embrace that uncertainty instead of running from it. Uncertainty exposes your weaknesses, and that is where strength is built. It forces you to confront what you do not know. It challenges your assumptions and reveals the gaps in your understanding. But that is the point. Growth requires you to face your limitations, not avoid them. When you resist uncertainty, you protect yourself from failure, but you also protect yourself from growth. Only by stepping into the unknown can you expand your strength and understanding. Most people want guarantees. They want to know that if they put in the effort, they will succeed. But life does not come with guarantees. Growth is not the reward for avoiding failure, it is the reward for facing it. The greatest breakthroughs happen when you step into the unknown, without assurance, without certainty, and without a safety net. That is where you discover your strength, not in knowing the outcome, but in knowing you can handle whatever comes. Growth happens when you stop needing answers and start embracing questions. The mind wants to label, categorize, and define, but the unknown refuses to be defined. The unknown is not a problem to solve, it is a space to grow into. When you release the need to understand everything, you become more open to learning. You stop demanding answers and start discovering insights. That is how growth happens, not through control, but through exploration. Fear thrives in uncertainty, but so does strength. Fear arises when you believe you are not equipped to handle the unknown. But strength emerges when you face that fear and realize it was never as powerful as you thought. Growth comes when you stop seeing fear as a barrier and start seeing it as a signal. Fear does not mean you are weak, it means you are standing at the edge of transformation. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to move forward despite it. People spend their lives waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect conditions. But that moment never comes. Growth does not happen when you have all the answers. It happens when you are willing to step forward without them. The unknown is not a sign that you are unprepared. It is an opportunity to discover your strength. The most powerful growth happens not when you feel ready, but when you act despite uncertainty. You cannot prepare for everything. No matter how carefully you plan, life will surprise you. It will disrupt your path and force you to adapt. But that is where growth happens, in the adapting. Strength is not built through preparation. It is built through response. You learn who you are not when life is easy, but when life challenges you. And it is uncertainty that delivers those challenges. Uncertainty forces you to be present. When you do not know what is coming next, you are forced to focus on what is right in front of you. You stop living in the past or projecting into the future. Growth happens when you engage fully with the present moment, not when you are lost in the mental fog of trying to predict the future. The unknown pulls you into the present, and the present is where transformation takes place. Most people think they need certainty to feel secure, but certainty is not security, it is limitation. When you rely on knowing what comes next, you limit yourself to what you already understand. Growth requires you to go beyond what you know. It requires you to trust yourself, even when the path is unclear. That trust is where strength is built. When you stop relying on external certainty and start relying on internal strength, you become unshakable. The unknown strips you down. It removes the safety nets and forces you to rely on yourself. That is where true strength is revealed. You discover what you are made of, not when life is predictable, but when life is uncertain. Growth happens when you stop demanding comfort and start embracing challenge. You do not grow by standing still. You grow by stepping into the unknown and finding your footing as you go. Uncertainty is the path to mastery. When you know what to expect, you stop learning. Growth requires discomfort, because discomfort forces adaptation. The mind wants predictability, but the soul craves expansion, and expansion only happens when you move beyond what is familiar. The unknown is not a threat, it is a teacher. It will show you what you are capable of, but only if you are willing to face it without running. Strength does not come from knowing the outcome. It comes from knowing you can handle the outcome. When you release the need to control, you reclaim your power. Growth comes not from shaping life to your liking, but from adapting to life as it unfolds. The unknown will never go away, but your fear of it can. When you learn to meet uncertainty with calm instead of panic, you discover an inner strength that nothing can shake. You cannot grow while holding on to certainty. Certainty is a cage. It keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. Growth requires you to release the need for answers and trust yourself to find them as you go. The unknown is not a void, it is a field of possibility. It is where you meet yourself, where you discover your strength, and where you become more than you were before. The path forward is not clear, but you are strong enough to walk it anyway. Uncertainty is the ground for growth because it strips away everything false. It removes the illusion of control and forces you to stand on your own strength. It asks you to trust yourself even when you cannot see the outcome. Growth happens not when you have all the answers, but when you are willing to face the questions. The unknown is not your enemy, it is your path. It is not a threat, it is your invitation to rise. Do not fear uncertainty, embrace it. It is where your strength is forged, where your wisdom is sharpened, and where your resilience is built. Life will never give you guarantees, but it will give you opportunities. And the unknown is the greatest opportunity of all. Let go of the need to know. Step into the uncertainty. Trust that you will rise to meet it. That is where growth happens. That is where transformation begins. Do not fear the unknown. Embrace it. For it is not the darkness that defines you, but the strength you discover when you step into it.